One killer hunted in silence. The other turned entire cities into nightmares. Jeffrey Dahmer and Richard Ramirez are often mentioned in the same breath. Both were serial killers. Both terrified the public. Both became cultural symbols of evil. But when you look closer, something unsettling appears. They didn't represent the same kind of threat. They didn't create fear in the same way. And they didn't expose the same weaknesses in society. This is not a story about who killed more people. This is not a competition of brutality. This is a comparison between two completely different forms of evil. Jeffrey Dahmer did not seek chaos. He did not want attention. He did not want panic. What Dahmer wanted was control. Born in 1960, Dahmer grew up isolated, emotionally detached, and deeply withdrawn. From a young age, he struggled with abandonment, alcoholism, and fantasies that revolved around dominance rather than rage. His crimes were quiet. They happened behind closed doors, often involving people he had already gained the trust of. Dahmer did not stalk neighborhoods. He did not roam the streets at night. He invited people into his space, apartments, bedrooms, private rooms where screams could not be heard. This is what made him so dangerous. His victims didn't run from him. They walked toward him. Dahmer's violence was methodical, calculated, ritualistic. He drugged his victims. He incapacitated them. He removed resistance before it could begin. To Dahmer, murder was not explosive. It was controlled, silent, almost clinical. And that silence is what allowed him to remain invisible for so long. Richard Ramirez was the opposite of Jeffrey Dahmer in almost every way. Where Dahmer was quiet, Ramirez was loud. Where Dahmer hid, Ramirez announced his presence through fear. Where Dahmer controlled, Ramirez destroyed. Born in 1960 as well, Ramirez grew up surrounded by violence, trauma, and exposure to extreme brutality at a young age. He was impulsive, volatile, and deeply chaotic. Ramirez did not lure victims. He invaded them, homes, bedrooms, random houses in random neighborhoods. There was no pattern, no age limit, no consistent victim type. If a door was unlocked, Ramirez entered. If someone was inside, he attacked. This randomness was his weapon. Los Angeles did not fear Ramirez because of what he did in private. They feared him because he could be anywhere. People slept with the lights on. Gun sales skyrocketed. Entire neighborhoods locked themselves inside after dark. Ramirez did not want control. He wanted terror. And terror thrives in unpredictability. Psychologically, Dahmer and Ramirez represent two opposing forms of violent pathology. Dahmer was inward-focused. His crimes were about possession, intimacy, and control. He did not enjoy the chase. He avoided confrontation. He preferred victims who would not resist. Ramirez was outwardly explosive. His crimes were about power, shock, and domination. He enjoyed fear. He fed off chaos. He wanted victims to know they were helpless. Dahmer wanted silence. Ramirez wanted screams. This distinction matters because it shaped how society experienced them. Jeffrey Dahmer created individual fear, the kind of fear that creeps in quietly. The idea that danger could exist behind politeness, behind a friendly smile, behind an unlocked apartment door. His threat was intimate, personal, invisible. Richard Ramirez created collective panic, the kind of fear that spreads through entire cities. People didn't fear one man. They feared the night itself. Every shadow became a threat. Every noise became suspicion. Dahmer haunted individuals. Ramirez haunted millions. Even their captures reveal their differences. Dahmer was stopped not because police were effective, but because a victim escaped and refused to be ignored. Repeated warnings had been dismissed. Multiple red flags overlooked. His capture exposed systemic failure. Ramirez was caught because his face was everywhere. The media broadcasted him relentlessly. The public recognized him before law enforcement did. In the end, a neighborhood stopped him. One killer was revealed through neglect, the other through chaos. So which one was more dangerous? The man who killed quietly for years while being ignored? Or the man who turned an entire city into a locked-down nightmare? There's no easy answer. Dahmer represents the danger of institutional blindness, the failure to listen, the failure to act. Ramirez represents the danger of social vulnerability. Unlocked doors, random chance, public fear. They are not interchangeable. They are not the same. They are two different warnings. The question is not who is worse. The real question is this: which kind of evil scares you more? The predator who hides in silence, or the one who turns the night itself into a threat? Utro, Yorum tetikleyici. Which one do you believe was more dangerous, Jeffrey Dahmer or Richard Ramirez?